Yo, what's up YouTube? I'm Kinda Proto, and today we're going to be taking a look at a deck based around a promo that we just got in English. I'm talking about, of course, Froselia. This might be one of the easiest decks to build. It's also a ton of fun though, and can sneak out wins. If it's going toe-to-toe with some of the current meta threats such as Shiranui, obviously you're not going to have a 100% win rate, but if you go first, you can get them down. I have definitely killed a Chrono Jet at grade 2 before. So she has a lot of text on her, which is funny because the rest of the cards in her deck have basically no text on them. So let's take a look and see what she says. So first of all, her main ability that makes this deck very unique is you cannot call cards with continuous, act, or auto abilities. Basically, you have to run all the vanillas from the Lyrical Trial deck in here. Her second ability is all your units on guard circle get plus 5k shield, making all your grade 1s and 2s 10k shields and your grade 3s 5k shields. And if you played an order this turn, and this is on both turns, your front row gets plus 5k. Next, she has once per turn, you can Soul Blast 1 and EB2. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 2 unit cards from among them, call them to rear guard circle, and choose up to 1 order card from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle the deck. So she has some deck compression, she has some board building, and she has some order searching, which is very big because you definitely want to hit your orders every turn offensively and defensively. And then her final ability is when this unit attacks CB1, choose one of your rear guards and stand it. If you have 5 or more order cards with different card names in your drop, then you can restand 2 rear guards. So she has no grade restrictions, meaning if you go first, you can pop all this off on your grade 3 turn against a grade 2. And it can get pretty nice with the right combo cards. So opening hand does matter a lot, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that. But first, let's take a look at her ride line. So the grade 0 can be whatever you want it to be. I'm running this grade 0 because I have the SP, and I think it is a pretty card. And that's the most important thing in this game, isn't it? Grade 1 and 2 is, of course, going to have to be the Willista ride line. This is very important. We'll go over in a second why. But Willista continues to be the optimal choice for yet another lyrical deck. I don't think they intended it to be this way when they made her ride line and gave us a Crossing Illumirays, but that's just how it is, especially with this deck. It is essential you run that card. And then, of course, our grade 3, we have Froselia. So with the ride line out of the way, let's go ahead and start taking a look at our main deck. We're, of course, running 3 Persona rides. This deck does kind of live and die by Persona ride. There is an argument to swap out the Regalis piece I'm running to run the Chalice, but I don't know. I'll explain my reasoning behind everything. There's definitely a lot of flex room in this deck when it comes to trigger count and orders, but that's one of the best parts about it is since this deck is so generic, there's a lot of choices you can make. Next, we have our grade 2s. Like I said, we're running all vanillas. We cannot run anything that has any abilities. So from the trial deck, I am running 1 copy of the ride line grade 2, 3 copies of her, 3 copies of her, and 3 copies of her, for a grand total of 10 grade 2s. This is also a little flex room. You can cut some of these for grade 3s. The issue I found with the grade 3s was the lack of intercept. There were definitely times where I had grade 3s in the front row, and that 10k intercept would have saved me from dying. So I cut the 2 grade 3s I was running and went to 10 grade 2s. Just because it's more shield in hand, it's intercept, and it's more shield on intercept. Essentially, by cutting those 2 and switching to these, I added an extra 10k shield. Because remember, all of these are 10k shields versus the 5k I was getting from the grade 3. So you're running 10 grade 2s, all vanillas, all from the Lyrical Trial deck. Basically, besides maybe 2 or 3 cards in this deck, all you need is the Lyrical Trial deck, a bunch of common orders, and then 4 of the promo, and you can just start playing it. Next, I'm running the grade 1 from the Ride line, 1 copy of her, 3 of her, and 3 of her for a grand total of 8 grade 1s. Again, it doesn't matter what grade 1s you run as long as they're all vanilla. Grade 1s I run a little bit less because besides Blangmire and Gandiva, there's not a ton, and I guess for Jewel, there's not a ton of back row retire. Vashira Nui is attacking you. They're probably not going to use your grade 1 to attack you. They're going to pick a higher grade. So usually you can put these grade 1s in the back row and have them be pretty safe back there. So we can run a little bit less. Plus, you're not going to sacrifice them to intercepts. So with that, you can run a little bit less of the grade 1s, a little more of the grade 2, because you're going to burn through more of them. Next, we have our orders. So I am running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 orders. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Blitz orders. So I'm going to go over the ones we're running and why we're running them. First up, you have Clean Clean, which is a CB1. Choose one of your units, gets plus 5k, and you draw a card. This one's mainly for the card draw. The extra 5k is nice. This deck does not have a lot of card draw. Actually, this deck has no card draw besides your drive check. So any card draw we can add in is nice, and an extra 5k is always good. Plus, when you play that, you're going to give 5k to the front row. Next, we have Harmonious Offshoot. This is EB2. Give 3 of your rear guards plus 5. Usually when I do this, it's going to be my 2 front row rear guards and then 1 back row rear guard. So not only are they getting plus 5 from this, they're getting plus 5 from the Vanguard's ability, essentially giving them a faux Persona Ride power in case you don't hit your Persona Ride, or if it's your first grade 3 turn, you can do Persona Ride numbers on your front row rear guards. Next, we have Only My Stage. This one I added in for 2 reasons. One, as another target when checking the top 7 cards. That way you can deck thin more. And 2, just in case I ever need to play it. If I see in my drop that I'm running low on grade 1s, but I know I have a bunch of grade 2s, I would play this. It still will give the 5k to my front row. I've used it maybe once. If I don't think I'm going to use it, or if I have better options in my hand, I will just simply pitch it on ride up. So that way I can make sure on my first grade 3 turn, I have 5 orders in the drop, 5 different orders. Next, we have Pretty Demon Chord. This one, when you play it, it gives one of your cards the ability, it goes back to your hand at the end of turn. And then if you want, you can pitch a card to return this to hand. Most of the time I don't, because again, we're not too worried about losing bodies, considering we get to check top 7 for 2 more every turn and then play whatever we have in our hand. I don't find myself being short on bodies all that often. So usually I'll use this once, put the card back in my hand. You know, maybe if I have to call a grade 1 to the front row during my grade 3 turn, I want to put it back in hand because it cannot intercept, but in hand it is 10k shield value. So that one's in there. It's usually just a one-time use for me. If I really have extra cards I don't need, then I will pitch them, but that's that one. Next, we have, this card is great. Super Aesthetic Shot. I love this card. It's CB1. All your rear guards get plus 5k. This has 2 really good uses. If this is in your opening hand and you can build an entire board on your first grade 3 turn, you play this card, 5k to your front row, 10k to each column. You know, an extra 5 behind whatever's boosting your Vanguards. You can hit really good numbers on your first grade 3 turn. And if you're playing against like a Stride deck that hasn't had a chance to build their hand up yet, you can break through and potentially kill them. This is a card I did use to kill a Chronojet player on turn 2. I built a full board. I swung 20k, 20k, attacked Vanguard, restood both of them, and then swung my columns, I believe are 33k each. And we closed out game while they were still at grade 2. Great card. It's also really good when you hit your Persona Ride to go for the kill shot, because on Persona Ride, you got 10k to the front row. You play this, your front row is getting another 5k, so your front row has plus 15. And then each of your columns has an additional +10 because your front row and your rear guard are going to have +5 each. So it just lets you hit really nice numbers, and that's before you even hit any triggers. Next, we have Sweet Sweet. This is if you can't get a board built, play this to help build a board, and you get 5k to the front row because it's an order and you played it. And then finally, one of the most important pieces and one of the few cards in this deck that's actually going to run you some money, we have Crossing Illumerays. I mean, you know it, you love it, you hate it, however you feel about it. It's become a staple in a lot of decks, with the Willista ride line just being the most optimal ride line to play. In this deck, it is huge though. It is giant because not only is it Crossing Illumeray, but the fact that it is also treated as the Ruby and the Sapphire means this counts for 3 of your 5 order cards in the drop. So going into grade 3, as long as when you Soul Blast is out for your Vanguard's effect, that's 3. Somewhere along the way, you should have played a defensive order or pitched an order that's dead in hand. And then you play an order on your grade 3 turn and you're restanding 2 rear guards. Whether it's both your front row rear guards or an entire column you want to restand, the choice is yours. But you can get there on your first grade 3 turn thanks to this card. Next, we have our defensive orders. We'll start these out of the way. We'll start with Luminescence Fountain. This one does have the requirement for you to have 3 or more rear guards to play it, but it does give all your rear guards or all your units being attacked plus 15k. It's really good against Obfuscate. It's actually a 20k shield because Vanguard's ability does give 5k to the front row when you play an order. So you play this 15k guard, it's actually a 20k guard. You can save your Vanguard from getting hit and potentially both your rear guards in any kind of Vermilion or Obfuscate or any of those that attack multiple units. Next, we have Vibrant Symphony. Next, we have Vibrant Symphony. If your Vanguard was hit this turn, or if an attack hits your Vanguard this turn, I should just read the card instead of trying to summarize it. If an attack hits your Vanguard this turn, choose one of your units being attacked. It's plus 30k till end of turn. Again, it's actually plus 35k because of your Vanguard's ability. So that would put your Vanguard at 48k, which is a pretty good number for a defense. And then remember, all your triggers, your draw triggers are 10k shields, and all your other triggers are 20k shields. So you can turtle through some pretty big attacks. Next, we have Fleeting Stars Upon the Night. This one is EB2, and if any of your rear guards were moved to not a rear guard circle by one of your opponent's card effects, choose one of your units being attacked, gets plus 25k. It'll actually be plus 30k because of the 5 that the Vanguard gives it. This one's really useful in matchups like Varga, Gandiva, Blangmire. If you're going into something like maybe like a Stokea deck and you open up with this, it's okay to pitch it. If you need to hit your 5 in drop, pitch it. You can hold it. Technically, you can play it with EB2. The effect will just fizzle, but you will get the 5k to your front row if you have no other orders to play for that turn. So I've definitely done that before, just to put my Vanguard at 18k to try and help defend against the rest of the attacks. But again, if you're not playing a deck that's going to retire or bind any of your units, you can just pitch this early game to get to your 5 orders and drop. Next, we have Unseeable Exterior. This one is a 15k shield, but if one of your Vanguard, or if not one, well, I guess it's just I can say, if your opponent's Vanguard was placed by a card's ability this turn, it's plus 30k on the guard, 35 because of Vanguard's ability, putting you at a solid 50k. So this one's good against Stride decks. This one's good against any decks that have ride fixers like Ava or Michu or Prison. Anything where the Vanguard is placed by an effect, it gives you a 35k shield. Next, we have Transfer, probably the only other card in this deck that costs money. You know it, you love it. It's Soul Blast 1. Your unit being attacked gets plus 25k. And if they hit the over trigger, whoever they give that 100 mil to loses -1 crit. So this can help you make a really big number And then if they still hit the over trigger to get over that number, they get -1 crit. So they have to think about where they're going to stack that power, especially if they're not running blue OT, because they're not getting an additional crit. So basically whoever they give the power to is just going to whiff on the damage unless they have an extra crit. And then finally we have Elementaria. Elementaria is a Blitz Order. Elementaria does proc 5k to the front row. So this is the only PG you have in deck because you cannot play PGs. PGs have the auto ability, and you cannot call anything with an auto ability to guard circles. So this is the only true PG you have. You can add it to hand off your Vanguard's effect. It does not say order or blitz. It does not say normal order or blitz order. It just says order. So you can add blitz and normal orders to hand depending on what you're missing. Next, we have the trigger lineup. 4 heals are mandatory. Past that, you can get kind of weird with it depending on what you want to do. I personally am running 6 crits and 5 draws. I was running 5 crits and 6 draws, but I did find myself decking out or almost decking out a lot. So I cut it down 1. Plus, the crits are 20k shields and the draws are only 10k shields, so I'm doubling my shield value on a card. I was playing around with front some. They didn't really come up. This deck has no draw power, so you need to draw. I would say 5 draws is a minimum. You can go up from there depending on how hard you want to meme or how much you want to draw. But so far, 6 crits and 5 draws has been really good for me. And then finally, we are running the new Bright Sky OT. This OT is great for many reasons. 1, it's a great board buster if your opponent cannot rebuild. 2, it draws you cards, which is the main reason I put it in this deck. Is because this deck needs card draw. So I was like, you know what, that OT draws cards, let me put it in here. But it also busts their guard circle. So if they don't PG you and they just say over trigger to pass, you hit the over trigger, you stack the 100 mil in your rear guard, because this thing's going to blow up their guardian circle anyways and remove all the defense they just put down. It's definitely come up a few times. I've been able to go for game or push really hard early game because I checked this, blew up all the triggers on their guardian circle, smacked them in the face with my Vanguard, and then sent 100 mil at them with one of my rear guards. I think it is definitely the optimal choice in this deck. Although you can run pretty much any over trigger you want, whichever one makes you happy, except for the red over trigger, because the red over trigger does have an auto ability on it for the restanding on the rear guard. So if you run the red over trigger, you cannot call it the guard circle. All these other ones, you can call them the guard circle, and they're going to be a 55k shield, which 55k is a very nice number. That puts you at 68, which is that extra 5k just makes it so much easier to guard giant attacks. So looking at optimal opening hands, Persona Ride. You want Persona Ride. This deck kind of lives and dies by Persona Ride. That one is very big. Beyond that, you do want a defensive card. So you can use it on your way up. Realistically, neither of these are going to be very useful early game, so you probably want to go for this one. If this is in your opening hand, this is an instant keep. Just because if they're swinging at you, trying to rush you early game, you take one and then you drop this, and that's a 30k shield. And now it's in your drop, so you get closer to that 5 and drop. Because it's much better to use a defensive Blitz Order than to just pitch a defensive Blitz Order on right up to try and fill your drop up. You want to see some actual use out of it instead of having to just pitch it. But if you have to, then you have to. Other cards that I would say optimal opening hand. These two right here are very big for making your first grade 3 turn hit. And then beyond that, I mean, if you see any combination of these cards, then any grade 1s and 2s in your hand, you can keep as well. I usually mold to try and get at least 1 Blitz and 1 normal order and Persona Ride. Those are the main things I'm looking for, are those 3 things. And then these are the main hits that I want for those. This is the main Blitz that I want, and then these are the 2 main normal orders I want. just because you won't be able to play the Blitz on your way up at grade 2 instead of just pitching it. Although if you're going second, you can take a grade 3 Blitz into hand. That is fine also. So riding up, going to grade 3, you're going to have your Vanguard, you're going to have Gym and Soul, and then more than likely you shoved like a grade 1 to Soul, right? And at this point you have, let's say, so let's go ahead and sculpt the perfect hand. Let's say you played this order earlier, so this is in drop. You have this in hand. And then you do her ability, you EB2, you Soul Blast 1, you check top 7. Okay, you know, you see some grade 1s, some grade 2s. Let's say, you have grade 1s in hands. You'll call the 2 grade 2s. Grab whatever order you see. If you see 2 different orders, I would say grab a defensive, grab a Blitz. We'll go ahead and grab like the Transfer. So this is our current hand. And let's say in hand we have some grade 1s. There's our drop, there's our deck. This is our hand. We call grade 1, call grade 1. Maybe we want to push even harder. Maybe we have a draw trigger in hand. We'll just drop the draw trigger behind Vanguard. So what we'll do from there is we'll CB1, we'll play this card, right? We're going to go ahead. That's going to be 5k to our front row. 5k to every single one of our rear guards. Now, if you went first, they're at grade 2 currently, right? We swing right here. This is 15, 20, 20k to Van. We swing 20k to Van again. Even if they hit a trigger that still hits, they have to commit a card to guard. Next, we're going to go Vanguard. This is going to be 28 to Van because of this booster and the fact that we played Super Aesthetic Shot. Again, if this is in your opening hand, keep it. This lets you have a very aggressive first grade 3 turn. Upon doing that, we will CB1, restand both of these. Even if we don't hit any triggers, when we go to swing again, this is 10, 15, 20, 25, 33. 2 columns of 33 swinging on your first grade 3 turn. It's just the deck again lacks a draw source, but it has very nice board building. It has good deck compression, deck thinning. I mean, 3 cards a turn. It's very rare that you miss on your Vanguard ability. I would say more often than not, I hit at least 2 units in one order. Once you get towards the late game, you will start noticing. You might start checking like 5 orders and 1 unit, or 5 triggers, 1 unit, 1 order off the top of your deck when you start to get really compressed. I mean, I've had games before where you get down to the last 7 cards in my deck. I look at them, there's 1 order, 1 unit, and then 5 triggers left. So it's a very fun deck. Its price point is mainly only held back by the fact that she's a promo and the fact that you do have to run Crossing Illumerays. I mean, this card is a must play. This card is a must play for this deck. It counts as 3 of your 5 orders, over half your orders on 1 card. The other 2 cards are actually Super Aesthetic Shot's like $1. The only other card I think, well, the only other 2 cards that are going to cost money is Elementaria. Anyone getting into the game should own 1 copy of Elementaria though, so that is a long-term investment. You do not need to worry about that. I think they're going for like 18 bucks right now, but once you buy it, you'll use it in every deck. And then 1 copy of Transfer. This might get replaced with the new Twin Cast coming out. I will have to playtest it and see. I do like the fact that you can play it a second time from the drop. And I've thought about running the other Regalis pieces, the Pot of Greed one. What's that one called? I can't even think of the name right now. I've thought about running that one, but I want it more defensive in this deck because you definitely need your defensive Blitz Orders to proc that 5k. And I just think this one's really good because usually you're giving them a number that they're going to need over trigger to beat. And in that situation, if they hit over trigger, then you want to punish them for it. You could also run the Chalice if you really wanted to, but again, I think the transfer is the best, just considering you don't have a ton of Blitz Order options with Lyrical. So that'll be the full deck profile. Like I said, there's definitely flex room. You can change around the ratios of the 2s and the 1s, as well as the trigger lineup if you want. Just remember, you cannot run any effect triggers. They all have to be vanilla triggers. We don't have any effect triggers, but that's fine because they naturally are effect triggers, given the extra 5k on guard circle from your Vanguard. So these are all 20k shields for the crits and heals, and then 10k shields on the draws. The deck is very good at turtling. Obviously, it has some bad matchups. Shiranui is not a great matchup. If you can guard with a Blitz Order early, it'll make the rest of the turn a little easier with that extra 5k, but any stride deck that gets to keep going is just going to build their numbers up, so you want to try them, kill them early. This deck does have good rush. Like I said, the grade 2s are 10k intercepts from field, so that's why I got the ratio to that. But all in all, it's a fun deck. I've had great success with it. I've beat Leonorn, I've beat Chronojet grade 2, I've beat the new Keter deck that's coming out in set 3, the undercover one. I beat a Varga player. I've had some pretty good success with it, playing it for fun. And it's definitely a deck I'm going to take it to my locals this Friday and see how it does. I don't expect to go undefeated, but I think it's a deck that'll catch people off guard, especially when they don't know what it does, or the fact that you get 5 attacks on your first grade 3 turn with minimum 15k power up front, looking at potentially more if you use either of the 2 orders to give your units 5k. So if you give it a try, definitely let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It does help the channel a lot. I'm going to start working on more deck videos. I am a big Lyrical player. I was going through all my cards and I was like, man, I have a ton of decks built that I have not played or tested. So I want to start kind of going through those, testing them, finding a build I like, doing a profile on them, as well as running remote fight streams on them and doing some remote fight videos so you can see the decks in action. Hope you all enjoyed the video and take care of yourselves.